What's going on, guys? Keith McMillan here with Off the Mat Podcast, and I'm here today with a special guest,
Matt Waters.
Hey, Matt, how are you, sir?
Good. I'm glad to be back on here.
There's no Brian this week. Brian is in Abu Dhabi with Zach and Baker, and I think Tyler Minton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Zach's nutritionist coach, and getting ready for Zach's fight. Hopefully, Zach goes out there and knocks him out. But before we get to the fight card, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. Excited to be back on here. Yeah, it looks like Zach's already getting skinny out in Abu Dhabi. I saw some pictures today. It looks like his face is already thinning out, so he's ready to rock.
Yeah, it's weird. Look, I get that, he's a professional fighter. He can whoop my ass and everything, but it's always weird to see him, when he gets in shape. Because when he walks around here, he's never, tremendously out of shape. And this is coming from me, but when he gets in shape, I'm like, oh, yeah, I forgot you can do that. It's a surprising thing every time.
Yeah.
Especially when he used to cut down to 170. That
was a nightmare. I'm glad he's not doing that anymore.
Yeah, but can we talk about your big announcement?
Yeah, my wife's having a baby. So
yeah,
it's exciting. Keith was one of the first people to know, because I'm like, Keith, I'm gonna need all the advice you can give me. So
yeah, I mean, I'm a 9-month veteran, about to be a 10-month veteran, so I feel like I can give you a little bit of advice. Mine's a little different because of the twins, but. I'm excited. I kind of feel like I jinxed you, because I feel like the moment that I had my kids and I experienced how wonderful it was, I was like, Matt, you're gonna do it next. Yeah, you're gonna do it next, man.
We had planned on it though. It wasn't unexpected. We've been 1-1 and yeah,
that's awesome, man. I feel like you and Amber. I feel children. Kids are gifts, and I feel like it does evolve you as an individual. I feel like my kids have made me better, and I don't expect anything differently from yours. From your kid and your family. I feel like it's such a. If there's any two people that I know that are going to be wonderful parents, I believe it's you and Amber.
Thank you.
It's
been such a relief, knowing people like you and all the awesome moms at the gym that it relieves stress for me, I guess, or worry, because I know I have a huge resource of people around me that helps out. So and parents and family too as well. But my everyday here is going to be a breeze, I feel like. So.
Yeah, it's
especially compared to you with twins. My life should be easier than that, I would think. We'll see.
Well, I mean, it's I'm very fortunate. I don't think I'd still be here as much as I could be without the mothers here that have helped me. Especially with both the twins and Maureen and Rachel and,
Heidi and Heather.
The list goes on of mothers that I could get advice from and the help I get. So they're underrated, and you guys, you wonderful women are amazing, and thank you 1,000 times.
Definitely. Even without the kids, having somebody to watch all the kids that run around, their parents are a huge help around here.
Yeah.
They're awesome. So.
Yeah,
that's great. Shout out to them for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to you guys, you ladies. I keep saying guys, you women.
Yeah.
So this is very. We've had a couple of good weeks, man. I feel like we just did the previous fight card. Can you tell me the name? I keep forgetting the damn name.
Fighting Alliance Championship.
Fighting Alliance Championship. The first one, Matt and I were very fortunate to go out there. I feel like I was even more fortunate to go out there and commentate and watch some of the murderers from our gym go out there and put on a wonderful display of violence.
Yeah, that whole card was awesome, and the fact that it was in Silverstein Arena was really cool too. It was like a KCFA matchups, but in this huge venue. I feel like we, felt like we had backstage passes at the arena, which was really cool. So
the production value was, I was not expecting how great the production value was being there live.
Yeah.
I like the whole, the sign and the fighters walk out, the entryway. I'm a sucker for entryway. I mean, it might be from the WWE days and everything, but I'm a sucker for the entryway. I think it's your time to put on a performance.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like each one's I'm sure they're just going to get better and better. I know I don't remember when they said the next one was, but they have more planned and scheduled, and I think they're just going to get better and better each time.
Definitely. So we had some highlights of the fight card. Every fight was wonderful, but we have some personal highlights. and a little bit of low light. And I'll talk about it, and I'll be very delicate. One of our teammates, Mike, did we ever figure out what his last name was?
Breton.
Breton. Right? I feel like the host was like Barrington.
Listen, if it's not Breton, I'm going to be really disappointed because that's what I've been calling him forever. So,
but Mike went out there, and his first mixed martial arts debut. Unfortunately, went out there and lost. But I mean, he went out there and just to get to that, I thought, especially just being a casual fan, that you sign for a fight, you show up, and you're 100%. Now training over all these years and watching Zach and David and Mikey England, all the other fighters go through their training camps, understanding how your body falls apart. And you're kind of limping in when you get into the fight. Not always, but you kind of, and you've been through it too.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand the tremendous work that goes into getting ready for a fight and fighting, whether it's for 1 round or 3 rounds, and what it takes to get a victory. So for Mike to even make it to that point, to step in the cage and get through all the nerves is awesome. And I am very lucky to have him as a teammate. To have everyone here, the teammates that we have, and it was awesome. So fortunately, he didn't go out there and get a victory, but for him to make it that far and get in there says a lot about the character and the type of man that he is, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah, that guy works harder than pretty much everybody in the gym. He's if he doesn't know, he has the record for most classes in a single day here. I think he did like both Glory Fits and morning jiu-jitsu and then evening classes. He did like the Glory Fit and then, I don't know, he did all kinds of classes one day. And that guy's in here every day. It's weird when he's not here.
Right.
It stunk that he didn't get the result he wanted or that any of us wanted. But, just ended up not being a good matchup for him. And hopefully we'll see him back in there eventually.
Yeah, definitely. I hope he does take another fight. Works on what he needs to work on, and I'm sure Zach got to see him live, so we got to see what it was like full speed. And hopefully, he goes and tunes up, and he comes back and becomes a dominant MMA fighter. I believe he can be.
Oh yeah, he could wreck 90% of the amateurs. I feel like at heavyweight right now, like the guy he went up against just happened to be another really good athlete, right? That's huge as well, but most of the time, not most of the time, that's not right to say, but a lot of the time, heavyweight amateurs, they're not the most athletic human beings. And Big Mike is big, but he moves really well for his size, and I think he just needs to make a few small adjustments, and he's going to start wrecking people. So
yeah, it's crazy the chances that he has, because him and I talked back and forth, and we've had private messages, and he's always been like, "You think I can do it?" And I was like, "Definitely can do it." And then I was like, dude, look at your skill set, look at your background, you're a D1 athlete. And of course, his first fight, he's against another D1 athlete. It's like, all right.
Yeah, it's just a tough matchup for him, but we'll see him back for sure.
Definitely. And then we had the people's main event.
Wood. Yeah.
Brian Wood. It's Wood, right? I think it's Brian Wood.
Brian Wood. Yeah, Woody's the nickname for
him. Cool. Yeah. I wasn't sure. Everyone. But legend. Brian, man. You want to talk about someone that can fill the show, put on a show, and deliver?
The 2 highlights of my night were that fight and then Mikey England's fight. But starting with Brian Wood, I mean, the energy just when he walks out is so insane. Like, I don't know, it was such a cool experience.
He's on his 3rd fight, and you would think this guy has been like around the scene for years.
Yeah. There's always a sea of green shirts that say the Realtor Woody or something on them. Like there's always a huge section in the crowd full of green shirts that are there for him. And I don't know how many tickets he sold, but it was a lot.
I mean, he gets a huge pop, and it's like, as someone that's like, think about diving into the pool and fighting. I'm like, well, I'm 31, and I can give you a million excuses, and I need to stop that. But for him to be like, I want him to keep going.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. He's a guy that was just obsessed with the sport. Like, if you don't know Woody's story, we've kind of talked about it during his fights, but he's a guy that was just obsessed with the sport, still loves the UFC. That's, he's obsessed with it. His wife was James Krause and Chanel, their babysitter. And so they became friends, and he started talking to James, and they ended up training, and now he's 2-1.
2-1.
But yeah, always always one of the fights I look forward to most on the card now whenever he's on there. So
I hope he stays healthy, because like, how do you not put him on a fight card?
Yeah.
Especially in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I don't know any fight card. Every fight card could use that boost that he brings, that the atmosphere, the energy. You know, his fans are going crazy. The MMA fans now, if they weren't before. You know, you got moms, dads. I mean, he has to continue fighting, and you know, as long as he wants to, But it's like, he's 40 years old, 41 now, 40,
something like that. Yeah.
You know, and it's like, normally I'd be like, well, at least he's probably done. But it's like, no, like, keep fighting.
Yeah. Well, and his first fight, he came out and wrecked the guy really quickly, and was super excited. I think that was one of the biggest highlights of the night, was watching his celebration into the cage and afterwards. His second fight, he just ran out of gas, basically. And so James and Joe Wooster told him, hey, you got to train some more, and we'll put you on in August. So he had a little time off. And, you know, even though it was like 16 seconds or something crazy that he knocked the guy out, you got to see a lot of improvement in that short amount of time.
Right.
And, he, you know, his first fights, there's a lot of wild strikes, but this one, he actually landed a really well-thrown, clean right hand right across the jaw that was
I thought it looked good. thought it looked good.
It was awesome. I was jumping up and down. I was so excited. That was probably the highest energy point for me the whole night.
Definitely. I think, you know, he just delivered.
Yeah.
He delivered. And going into that fight, no matter how good of a guy you are, if you're Wood's opponent, you're the villain.
Oh yeah.
You're the bad. You have to go. That's no matter how long, whether you grew up here or not, you're going into hostile territory in your own hometown, fighting against them, and that's fascinating. So yeah, I hope the next fight card, I hope he's healthy and he's able to go in there and perform.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, anytime you have somebody that has that much hype around them, like, how can you not be excited about the fight? It doesn't matter where the technical level's at. Whenever everybody around you is jumping up and down, screaming on his way out, like, you're gonna get excited. And I know I was standing up after he knocked him out. I was super excited. So, yeah, it's good.
Nice. And then next we had, and I forgot the
fighter's name. Pull up the card here.
We gotta look at the card, but
which one you want to see?
Mikey England.
Yeah. So he fought Chucky Brooks.
So Chucky Brooks was the number 1 ranked welterweight in the Midwest.
Yeah, Missouri and Kansas is the number 1 guy. Yeah, the
number 1 guy, and he went up against the freight train that is Mikey England. I mean, that is a dominate. Mikey went out there, finished him. Honestly, the guy had to put himself out.
Yeah,
like, they were in the second round. You know, it was the same story. You know, once Mike took him down, got the film out, the guy just understood, like, I'm out of this.
Yeah.
I'm not in this guy's league. And that's the number 1 welterweight in the Midwest.
Yeah.
And Mikey made him look like a full amateur, like it was his first fight.
Yeah, that was the other highlight of the night for me, besides Woody, was Mikey England's fight. Like, I don't know what... That guy terrifies me, first of all. He's terrifying, Mikey England. But he is just getting better and better and doing all the right things, and then to put away a guy who's had, you know, more than twice as many fights.
Yeah, I think he was 8-2.
Yeah, and the number 1 ranked guy, and to make him look like that, like, what's next for Mikey England? I have no idea.
I mean, that's a tough guy. He's been in 10 fights. Mm-hmm. The guy that Mikey England went against was in 10 fights, and Mikey England made him tap the strikes.
Yeah.
That means please get me out of here.
Well, and it was cool to see the kind of the progression of Mikey too. Like, in that short amount of time, the first round he came out, landed some big strikes on the ground, but was really just, you know, throwing lots of them, you know. And then in the second round, I feel like somewhere we really got to see the technique of Mikey take over, and he started to pick his shots a little more, control the positioning, and nobody wants any part of that.
No,
and Chucky couldn't take it. So.
No, he couldn't. And for him to hang in there that long, it was fascinating. But, you know, to make a guy quit, you know,
make a guy of that skill set quit too.
Yeah.
You know, that's that's a big deal.
He broke him. So, man, Mikey England's like almost like a real life hero. Oh. You know, he's on that Stipe Miocic trained like he's a firefighter. He trains all day. You know, he's nice as can be off the mat. And then game day, he just slowly turns into that serious, scary warrior.
And he's a focused human being, not just a fighter, but like I feel like he's a guy who has a very he's very in tune with himself and his body, and he's always working to improve himself too, if that makes sense. Like not just his skill set, but he understands where his weaknesses are and knows what he needs to work on, and is just constantly doing that. Like he's doing all the right things to, in my opinion, be a UFC champion one day. So yeah, I'm excited for that guy's future.
As a fan and a couch coach, my question to you is, do you give him one more as an amateur, or do you go, hey, let's go pro?
Well, I mean, in my opinion, I say go pro now. Like he's going to run through a lot of pros the same way he just ran through Chucky Brooks. And you can get him to hit some more experience as a pro too, but like I feel like time's just ticking. You know, we might as what are we wasting our time for? All of his fights get erased as soon as he goes pro, you know. So in my eyes, go ahead, go pro. If you need a few more tune-up fights to work on whatever you're working on, go for it. But that guy's going to beat a lot of pros strictly just based off his wrestling. But now he's putting all the other skills in there too. So I think he has to have 5 fights, if I'm not mistaken, to actually go pro.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think that's a new rule. Missouri, I was talking to I don't remember who I was talking to about, but you have to have 5 fights and a winning record now in Missouri to go pro or to have pro fights.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Which is interesting, but people like Marissa and Mikey, now, how are you going to find them fights? You know, like it's hard enough to find Marissa fights, and Mikey, it's hard to find him fights, but who wants to fight him now? He just beat the number 1 ranked guy in the area, you know, like it's going to be hard to find an amateur that wants to go up against Mikey, you know. So
take some years off your life.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully he'll get his last amateur fight and then go pro and just start wrecking people, and we'll see him get to that top level soon. But yeah, I think he's 5 pro wins away from a Tuesday night Contender Series shot where he can start wrecking people. So
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Nice guy too. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Just a good human being for sure.
Who else do we have that night?
And David Onama. Kickboxing match, David Onama.
I don't. Do we have to do this? David Onama went out there.
Another terrifying individual.
David, I mean, he's pro, and it's like, what do you do with him?
Yeah.
You know, outside of he went out there and went against Joey Estrada, a game veteran in the Kansas City scene. He goes out there, both their debut for kickboxing. I mean, they're veterans in MMA, so it wasn't too far out of the realm. I felt like Joey Estrada did himself a favor by making it a pure stand-up, but he also kind of hindered himself. Onama went out there, and I don't know what him and Krause came up with in the back, but the way he dissected Estrada and he let Estrada like work out in the first round, and then he downloaded him, which is very Anderson Silva-esque. And then once he knew his game plan, he just kind of was like, all right, I'm just going to beat you up now.
Yeah, that showed like the next level in my eyes of David. Like it shows that separation of it shows to me that David's ready for that next level. I know he was like disappointed with his last fight, his MMA fight, whenever he finished the guy. So because he went out and just tried to throw everything at him. But this time he, like you said, kind of downloaded him and understood his movements, and then took advantage of all of Joe's mistakes. And I think that's something you can't do unless you're a high level, like especially in a cage with everything going on. Like being able to read somebody is hard enough in the gym, but whenever you're in the cage with all the bright lights and the adrenaline's going, like being able to say, okay, I shift my body this way, they make this movement, and now I counter. Like it's like being in the Matrix.
It's definitely it shows how much experience he has in the cage and how he's becoming more comfortable You know, that now is his element. I haven't watched all of Onama's fights. I've seen probably the last like 3 or 4 amateur fights, and I've watched every pro fight. But you know, he's definitely in his element. He's comfortable. He's not making any mistakes. I believe his last fight though, he kind of got out of his element that first round. But that's like, but that was the most like interesting it's been for Onama in his career so far, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that was just because he wanted to go out there and get after the guy right away, you know, and try to finish him early. And the guy was tough, so he was. It took a little longer than he wanted, but he still dominated the fight. You know, is what's crazy about it. Like, he's another guy that I think's right at that top level. That, you know, those are 2 people that you might see in the UFC next from Glory for sure.
Yeah, definitely a contender's shot. Damn, man. I mean, this gym is definitely producing wonderful athletes and high caliber fighters, and I think that shows, you know, the hard work that Zach and James, all the coaches have been putting in. I don't know all the coaches from these summits. I didn't want to forget anybody, and then, you know, but obviously with Dawson and them going, you know.
But I think both of the 2 things from those guys is both of them do everything right. You know, they both train their butt off to get better every single day, and in the spots where they maybe aren't as great. You know, Mikey's constantly working on his striking. David's constantly working on his wrestling and putting everything together. Like, they're doing all the right things. Like, they're going to get there. It's just a matter of time, you know. It's just a matter of time until they get that shot at the big league. And
definitely.
But they're doing all the things right. So, yes, the coaches have a huge play in that, but they're the ones showing up, putting in the work, too, definitely. You know. So, yeah.
So, yeah. Onama's try to... Yeah, JW go out there. Since JW's become a member of the gym, he's really improved his game a lot. At such an advanced age. He's really like stepped up and became composed. He had a takedown.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you'd have told me JW was gonna have a takedown in this fight, I'd be like, yeah, he got taken down. Like, yeah. And that's just because how I feel. Like,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah. The thing that has surprised me from him is I think as he learns more technique, I think he's improving his grind a little bit too, or his like he can dig a little deeper now than he was before, and we saw that in this fight. You know, he kind of out grinded Kurt Grillington,
definitely,
who's a veteran, you know, and he just was able to push through and dig a little deeper and get the victory. So yeah, that was something I was most impressed with, is that he didn't fold like some of the, you know, some other times, and now really dug deep and got his win. You know,
he has that extra gear in him, and that's something that only he could, you know, develop. And I mean, when he got against the cage and, you know, he kind of shelled up, I was like, oh man, this sucks. I know how much hard work he's put in, but then he was composed, and then he, you know, circled off the cage, you know, really beautiful move, you know, and then he put in work and nasty fucking elbows. I would not want to be on the bottom of JW when he's throwing those elbows. So, man, beautiful, man. And it's nice to see him elevate his game and really, you know, because I know this is all something that he loves to do.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see like the hard work pay off, and good for him.
Yep, absolutely.
We had was it Derek Ripley?
Yep.
Mr. Ripley and
Anthony Goldfield.
Anthony Goldfield's a terrifying monster.
Yeah. You
know, his physique, intensity, the strikes, you know, terrifying. And Ripley, a veteran, going out there and his kind of his swan song is his last fight. Unfortunately, I thought I don't know if he'll ever see this, but I apologize because I thought you were playing possum, but he had a real injury.
Yeah. No, he ended up. I guess his leg wasn't totally healed going into the fight, is what I've heard. But you know, it's nothing to. It was sad almost for Ripley for it to go out that way, because he's had, you know, he's been such an important figure in Kansas City mixed martial arts, and been such a big part of that. And then to come back after I think 6 years off, and then to have it go that way where he had to go out on the injury in between rounds, it stunk. But Anthony Goldfield did everything perfectly too. Like, it's nothing to take away from that guy. He went up against a tough veteran like Ripley and just did everything perfect. So Yeah. I don't know what else to say about that one.
No, I mean, it was. I know Gofield looked a little disappointed that, the fight ended that way. Yeah. You could tell he wanted to put him out, in his style, but, bravo to both men, and, hopefully Ripley can go off, and I don't know, it'll be interesting if he gets healthy, if he's like, let me do one more.
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. He does have a gym up in St. Joe that he runs as well, St. Joe Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that does well. So I know that was the thing for me, is like, I know he spent a lot of time the past 6 years dedicating his time to his students. And so, like, this was his comeback. And seeing it like that is what stunk. But, yeah, it was Anthony Goldfield's a terror. He's a monster. So, yeah. So.
And then you get to the headlining event.
Yeah.
Felony Charles Bennett.
Don't screw that up either.
Versus
Felony Charles Bennett. Not Charles Felony Bennett.
Oh my God. Felony Charles Bennett versus Kevin Croom.
Yeah.
The hard hitting hillbilly. What a fucking matchup.
Yeah, that was great. Man, Charles Bennett he's crazy. He's like legitimately crazy.
He's definitely a unique character. You don't know where it comes from, because that's always been his moniker, that's always been his title. But him coming to the Midwest, he definitely was true to himself. You could tell he didn't want to be there. I felt like he didn't want to be there. He walks out to a R&B song with his middle finger raised high, flicking off everyone, live streaming.
Yeah.
And he was kind of walking in a little too calm and collective, and really trying to play. I don't know if he was trying to play the villain role, or if I took it a different way. I kind of felt he was kind of like, I felt like he wanted to play like I'm the outcast here, which, I mean, it is Kevin Croom's hometown.
Yeah.
But you could tell he really tried to play into that, like, the heel role.
I thought, like, this is just a character this guy does, I don't think it's a character at all. I don't think he, like, puts any, like, thought into what he's gonna do. I think he just goes out there and is himself. And watching him walk around, and just before the event ever started, before everybody else even got there, it was just like, you could tell that he's a unique individual for sure. Yeah. But
walked out there with himself, no team.
Yeah.
I don't think he trains with a team. If he does, I mean,
I talked to his manager a little bit, and they said he was training. They said he trained really hard in American Top Team in Georgia or something. But yeah, it didn't go smooth for him.
No, it didn't, and I don't know what he was expecting, but it's kind of like he almost didn't react. It feels like he was like caught in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he thought his spirit or power was just going to dominate, Croom, and Croom was just going to wilt with some Star Wars Force stuff. But, man, he didn't do much of anything.
He comes out, like, in all of his fights, he comes out, like, super. I talked about it in the broadcast. Like, it reminds me of, like, Yoel Romero, where he, like, comes out, like, and kind of lulls people in, and then he'll fire in a big, heavy strike. But he didn't get the chance to explode against Croom, and Croom just dominated from start to finish. So.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance for Croom, but yeah, Charles Bennett didn't show up that night.
Yeah, and Charles Bennett's a legend and a guy who's been around forever, but Croom's been around a long time too, and he's always been right there at that top level. So he's another one that wouldn't surprise me if he strings a few wins together, if he gets a shot. He's been around a long time and has really good skill sets everywhere. So
yeah, no, I mean, it was a great headlining card. I kind of wish I saw more action. I mean, good for Croom to come out there and take the victory the way he did, unscathed. But I was kind of, in Felony Charles Bennett is a legend. He is.
Yeah.
He's been in the cage with some of the greats. Hasn't always came out with a victory, but I mean, he's entertaining, and I mean, he's a name, and you don't get that name. Especially, he was a name in the sport when it wasn't that popular as it is now.
Yeah.
So that's a testament to his character and who he is.
Yeah, and I think he's always been the way we saw him too. Like, he's always been a little crazy. Like, the brawl with Shootbox during Pride in 2005, it makes sense now. You know, like, it made sense to me. Like, I don't know. Yeah. He's an interesting guy.
All right, we're back. So that was the. I still haven't got the name.
Fighting Alliance Championship.
Fighting Alliance Championship.
Yeah.
I won't forget it. I will forget it, but I'll. And now we're on to the big card this week. This Saturday, Abu Dhabi, we got Poirier versus Khabib. Ensis Barboza versus Paul Felder. And we got our coach, Zak Cummings, versus... I'm not going to try to pronounce any of these gentlemen's names. I think I will butcher it.
I think it's Omari Akhmedov, I think. I don't know anybody else, though. There's the rest of that card. Good luck. But yeah.
Yeah, this is a big fight. Well, obviously every fight for Zach is a big fight. But this is a new display. It's always interesting when they send the U.S. fighters overseas and fight, because I'm very curious how Zach and all the other American fighters react to that time change. Yeah. Hopefully it goes well. Trust me. I think this is a nice matchup for Zach, and I believe he can go out there and dominate. I'm hoping for a second round finish. But yeah.
Whenever they go overseas, it's like you said, the time changes always can play a factor. I don't remember which UFC it was, but it was in China, and I remember watching. This is a throwback, but Hatsu Hioki.
Wow.
He was a guy who never really had that impressive performances, but then whenever he got to fight in China or Japan, wherever it was, he just looked like a world beater. You thought that guy was gonna be the next champ. So guys can really stand out whenever they don't have to go through that too, right. Or some people like the travel, they like the getaway and can adjust well to it. But yeah, it's always a factor for sure.
Definitely. And I know Zach likes to travel. So I don't think it's going to be a hindrance at all. But I'm always fascinated. But you look at Omari's last fight. See if I can pull him up. He was actually here in he was here in Kansas. He fought Tim Bosch.
Okay.
I believe
so. Yeah, in Wichita?
Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
I believe he was here. Let me see if he has any big highlight. Yeah, a lot of his fights are decisions.
Yeah, he's more of a guy that kind of grinds out more than anything, but he's been knocked out, been caught with submissions. I know that's what Zach's hoping to do.
Definitely. Sergio knocked him out.
Moraes?
Not that Omari. Yeah, Moraes.
Yeah.
Knocked him out.
That's who James is fighting next, I believe.
Nice. It's a good matchup.
So, yeah.
Yeah, his losses have all been by knockout.
Yeah.
So, he's going up against Zak Cummings. I wish he had a nickname.
We could give him one.
He won't like it. No matter what nickname we try to give him, he don't like it.
That's all right. I'm sure that there's lots of people that don't like their nicknames, but if it sticks, it sticks, right?
I mean, I guess as long as we don't give him a generic one.
I remember a long time ago, somebody tried to give Tim the nickname Grimy, and he hated it. And it stuck for a little bit, but then it just he hated it so much that it faded off. But I still like Grimy Tim Elliott. It fits his style.
It does. So. It does. It's grimy.
Yeah. Please don't beat me up for hearing that, Tim.
Oh, man. If Tim Elliott listens, I appreciate you for listening. I don't think you have to worry about that at
the
moment. Yeah. But going into this fight, it's nice to see Zach string along, victories and fight consistently, because I know it was a year or two ago. He only got to fight once due to his injuries, and it's nice to see him go in there and get to do what he loves. Because I know he loves training here and helping the fighters develop their game. But I mean, his job is a UFC fighter, and to be at that level, it's funny training here, and obviously, I don't think I can, but it's always I always get that little thought in my mind, maybe I could be a UFC fighter, just getting to witness and work with that talent.
Yeah,
it's always it's inspiring, so it's nice.
Yeah, it's good that he's getting to stay consistent and hasn't been that long since his last one, right? When was the last
No, it hasn't.
So yeah, he's still staying in there, getting after it, and I think that's a huge factor. Like whenever you can be consistent like that, everybody always performs a little bit better. And like when Cowboy was fighting 5 times a year, 6 times a year, that's when his best streaks were. If you can fight close like that, sometimes it's a good thing. Not everybody handles it well, but yeah, I think it's a good thing that he gets to stay consistent.
So yeah, hopefully he hears this. I know he's gonna be. Hopefully, he doesn't have too much weight to cut, but if he's cutting weight, I doubt he's going to be occupied listening to a podcast. But good luck to you, Zach, and we all pray for your health and that you stay injury-free and knock this motherfucker out.
So I told him last time, I'm like, I don't really care how you win, just don't come back injured this time. Yeah. Just come back ready to go again. Like, just go finish him really quick and then come back. Don't break your orbital or anything like that. Yeah. And we'll just keep grinding.
Nice.
So.
I'm gonna surprise you. One of my fights to watch because I'm such a fan. He said, "Uh-oh." It's gonna be probably Andrea Lee versus Joanne Calderwood.
Yeah, that's a great fight. That's gonna be fun. I love JoJo, and then Andrea Lee has always been impressive too. So, I remember watching Joanne Calderwood fight in Invicta here, and I had no idea who she was at the time. This was one of the first Invictus probably, and she just was a nightmare for the girl she fought, and that's a fun matchup. Andrea Lee.
Yeah, Andrea Lee has she's a little fire starter.
Yeah, and she switched some things up, and in her camp, now she's training with Tim Crater in Lafayette, Louisiana.
I wonder if she can come out the way she always does, because her whole persona. I mean, it might be she's a cowgirl. She's an American cowgirl. So I wonder if they're gonna allow her to kind of.
They should.
Okay. I don't know the details.
What you saying? Like they should allow her to like be herself?
Yeah.
Yeah, like show her personality. I think so. I think they should.
It's a little different over there in that.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That's always why I was curious. I don't know the details, but obviously, I was just curious if they're gonna be like, hey,
man. I think they're such big fans of the UFC though that I bet the fighters get treated really well over there no matter
definitely.
What. And so from what I've seen and heard, like if you're fighting in the UFC over there, you're royalty. So I would think that they would let her, but who knows? Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, let me take a little break from the fights real quick for a second.
Uh-oh.
You have Brian Harris and you got Baker over there living it up.
Having photo shoots.
We see you guys. I see Brian posing like a 45-year-old divorced woman. He's living his best life, and I think it's nice. It's good to see. Hopefully he brings back a lot of photos. If I can clip some photos in of their photo shoot, I will. In this podcast episode. Yeah. But it's nice. I know he was very excited to go over there and be live and support Zach. And
yeah, I'm excited to see and hear all about it because he said he was going to take a GoPro. I'm guessing he did, but like for the walkout and all that. So it'd be cool to see all that stuff for sure.
Did you ever get to travel with
No, I've been to a lot of them, and I've got to like whenever James fought in Winnipeg, I got to go like kind of backstage, but I've never been there like for the walkout and all that.
Right.
But yeah, I've got to go behind the scenes a little bit, but yeah, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never got to leave the country.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
The only time I've been out of the country was Mexico and Winnipeg.
Yeah.
For Canada, but yeah, I don't know. That's a long flight.
I believe it. I think the flight to Abu Dhabi was 28 hours.
I thought it was like 18.
Maybe I'm exaggerating. I probably exaggerated.
28 sounds good though.
Yeah, we'll just say it's 28.
Better for the video.
No, it might be 18 hours, but still. I mean, I like when I fly.
Way too long.
When I fly, I like to have a little, get a couple like sleeping pills or something, and like go to sleep and wake up and be done with the flight.
The longest flight I've ever been on was 5 hours, and I was miserable.
Yeah,
I can't imagine being on a plane that long. So, but I always thought I wanted to go to Australia, but then the idea of being on a plane for 14 hours or however long it is no thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know. But it's nice. It's hopefully they're enjoying themselves and they stay out of trouble. I know Brian recently just got done streaming, and I think he brought his computer over there to play World of Warcraft, but I don't know if he has time to do it. I saw him jump on the other day, though. I saw him jump on for like an hour. And I was like, oh, shit, you're really playing, but I haven't seen him on since, so.
Yeah.
But can't wait for you guys to get back and, have fun over there.
Yeah. Take advantage of all that for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's an experience.
Yeah.
That's an experience not many people, get to experience, and a lot of people normally don't even leave their hometown, so.
Yeah.
Get to travel around that opens up the world, and good for them.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing in life is traveling. I think that's what I live for. So, yeah.
All right, so back to the fight. So
all right,
we have a rematch, Barboza versus Felder.
Yeah,
it's a damn good rematch too.
Zach was on the card last time they fought,
and Felder got the first one right.
Did he? I don't remember.
Oh my!
I thought it was a decision for sure. What? See, the poster's probably around here somewhere. I think it's that one. July 25th, probably 2015, something like that.
Let me see. I think
he may have. I remember it was crazy because they were just throwing spinning kicks the whole time.
Let me see. Maybe I made that up. Be Charles Olivier.
That was I don't think so because I think that was the fight where Barboza kept landing a switch kick, right?
Yeah, Barboza won by decision.
Yeah.
But I mean the last in there with Barboza, who's such a dynamic and terrifying striker.
Yeah.
That he might be one of the best strikers we've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I think so.
In the cage.
I think so, and that just shows you how good Paul Felder is to be able to go through all that. Like Dan Hooker's a great striker, and Edson Barboza made him look like an amateur. That fight's gonna be awesome. The first one was awesome, and I'm sure this one will be just as good. But the last time they were on the card and Zach fought, Zach got he got that early knockout against Dominic Steele. So hopefully we can keep that train rolling, get that early knockout.
They be setting Zach up because they put Zach early on the card. So no matter how fantastic, I feel like Zach sometimes sets the tone for the card. So Zach gets that early victory and knocks out submission. I feel like next thing you know, like 4 fights later, everyone's getting a damn knockout.
Yeah.
And it's always I feel like they kind of bias with the bigger name. The bigger the name that gets that victory.
Which is crazy. Like, you would think, I feel like if you're one of those, guys that's getting paid $300,000, $400,000 for a fight, you shouldn't be eligible for that $50,000 bonus. That $50,000 bonus should only be eligible to the guys who are making, $10,000 or, less than $100,000.
Unless you get that Lyoto Machida little clause.
What's the Lyoto Machida?
I forgot. He was getting paid an extra bonus for knocking people out.
Oh, yeah?
Huh. That came out in the lawsuit that they're doing.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He had his own little special clause.
So with that lawsuit, maybe you read more about it than I did. So was that in favor of the UFC? They were saying they paid the right amount of percentage, or was it not?
It was not.
It was not. So it's against the UFC. It's bad for the UFC. I didn't know how it went.
Yeah.
I always felt like the fighters were underpaid for sure, but I didn't know because they said whatever percentage it was. I didn't know if that was supposed to be showing a good thing for the UFC or bad.
Yeah, it's not looking too good right now. I don't know the intimate details, but it doesn't. Looks like the UFC was kind of really pimping these fighters out. In a sense, back in the day.
Yeah.
I know they're getting taken care of right now. I'm just trying to save myself. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if things have gotten better or what there. I think I know the Reebok deal was stunk a long time ago, but I don't know how everything translates as far as contracts now that there's new owners and everything.
But I mean, I don't know his business like that, and I would never put out his business like that. But I feel like Zach, who's been such a veteran for I feel like the Reebok deal works in his favor because wasn't it every time you fight you get a pay bump? So
the only good things I've heard about the Reebok deal is the fact that some sponsors were pretty shady back in the day and wouldn't always pay. I heard from one of the managers here that managed some of the UFC guys. They said that's the biggest advantage to the Reebok deal is you're gonna get your guaranteed money,
right.
But there was guys who were making way more than what their contract was worth just off sponsors.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like it's still probably not the best thing, but at least they're getting guaranteed money from that way.
Well, that matters.
I don't know. Yeah, it's not. I don't know enough about it probably to be talking about it. But.
Yeah, one day soon we're gonna have a couple UFC fighters. I'm hoping we get, Zach Dawson.
Yeah, I don't know why you guys don't just say, hey, come to my podcast.
Hey, guys, if you're watching this and haven't subscribed. We get the 100 subscribers.
How many are you at now?
71.
71.
We gotta slow the process, and that's on me. Not putting in enough work for this podcast. I need to.
If you get one of those guys though, they're gonna bring followers with them.
I hope so.
So
hope they stay.
See, if you get Zach on now, he'll probably have you at 150 by the end of the week.
See, but I need to be cautious about bringing some of those like UFC guys because they might come in and expect us to talk about fights and then get to a journal episode and be like, this emo bullshit I'm listening to. I ain't here for him to cry. Man. The hell? It's funny. They have to understand the whole package of the Off the Mat podcast. Okay, so we got Barboza Felder, which is a nice co-main event. And then you have
who are you taking in that? I feel like we have to make predictions. You have a prediction for Felder and
man
Barboza?
You might not like this. I think I have to go with Barboza.
Yeah.
I feel like Barboza's been if I'm right, I feel like he's on a streak right now.
Yeah, I think so too. But
I know that Kevin Lee fight really messed him up.
I would like to see Felder do well, but you're probably right. Barboza's probably gonna get the win.
But I feel like Felder's so tough. I feel like it's gonna be the same thing.
Yeah,
not the same exact fight, but I feel like it's gonna be a decision. I don't see Barboza putting him away.
Who was it that Felder fought and broke both of his arms and then just kept fighting? I remember it was the same card as DC and Stipe won. I forgot who Felder fought. Does it say on there?
No, it doesn't.
Anyway, he broke his arm and then still fought the entire fight. So Paul Felder's a beast.
Damn, I forgot Barboza fought Khabib.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
And then Kevin Lee put him away. And then Justin Gaethje put him away. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I forgot too. I didn't realize that.
Just coming off a loss. I'm gonna stick with Barboza though. I think he's just a game opponent. I think that he's grown since the last. He's grown tremendously since the last time they fought. I think it was 4 years ago since they fought.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Felder's he hasn't been as active. He's had a lot of canceled bouts.
Yeah,
he's supposed to fight Aquinta and everything.
Yeah,
but I feel Barboza decisions him. I don't see him putting him away, but unless it's some unknown injury we don't know about, I feel like he just sticks to a decision.
Yeah, Felder's one of those guys who I feel like is always in there grinding, but he's never been had anything that just blows you away impressive. You know what I mean? Whereas Barboza has crazy highlight finishes. So, yeah, I think Barboza will get the win, but it's gonna be he's gonna have to grind it out.
Right. Now we get to the main event.
I think I have the unpopular opinion here of how this fight goes.
Versus Poirier.
Who you got first?
Wow. Let's go with you first. Maybe you'll show my opinion, but I don't have any clear, definite winner for this though.
I do, and it's Dustin Poirier.
Do you think, because he said it?
I think Poirier finishes him.
You think he finishes him?
Finishes him. Third or fourth round, probably. Everybody needs to go back and rewatch the Conor Khabib fight and the Al Iaquinta fight, and just go into it with an open mind. I rewatched Conor and Khabib. As much as it pained me to watch Conor and Khabib.
I watched it again too.
If Khabib decides to stand up with Poirier for any rounds like he did in round 2 against Conor or like he did against Al, I think Dustin Poirier, as long as Poirier goes in with the mindset of, all right, I'm going to pepper this guy with strikes, I think he's going to end up overwhelming, probably hurt Khabib with a big strike and then just, overwhelm him with cardio and volume.
See, that's the big thing about it. If Poirier is to finish Khabib, I feel like you have to do it in the early rounds because when they get to that third or fourth round, that means Khabib's been grinding you out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, with my lack of knowledge on Poirier, I know he's came up a weight and everything, but I don't know how he does against wrestlers. And I feel like that's a big X factor if you're not used to that wrestling. And I mean, he's a high level athlete, so I expect his wrestling to be at that point. But I mean, if you haven't experienced Khabib,
I think Poirier's ground game is going to be good enough to hopefully get back to his feet and start picking apart Khabib. Khabib's wrestling is insane, and the only thing, so I don't know why I'm thinking of this now, but like I was watching Poirier on the Embedded episode. One of the ways he got up off the cage like made me nervous about the whole fight, because Khabib will let you kind of like work back to your feet as long as you turn up and give up your back, and that's exactly what Poirier did working up off the cage in the Embedded episode. So if he loses, that's how I think it happens. I think Khabib gets him in against the cage and then lets him work up and then takes his back and drags him to the ground and strangles him. But I really think Poirier is going to have good enough ground game to either stop the takedown or, hurt Khabib on the feet. So
see, I think it's going to be that type of like Poirier has to finish him early. Khabib will definitely grind him out, and if he gets to the later rounds, in my opinion, I feel like Khabib dominates him, and I don't think he makes him quit or anything, but I feel like he can finish him, because I'm looking at Poirier's fights. Every fight that he's gone up against, all strikers. Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis,
wrestle though too.
Jim Miller, yeah, but they're not going out there to wrestle. Not like that's not their first game plan. As Khabib, I feel like his game plan is to go out there. Jim Miller.
My thoughts on Khabib's cardio though, like I think if Conor would have had more cardio going into round 2 and had a little more pop behind his punches, I think he really would have hurt Khabib. And that's not me just being that's not me just being a Conor fan, but like there was nothing on Conor's punches going into round 2, and he was landing on Khabib. And so I think if somebody has that pop behind their punches, they can really do some damage there.
I think it was the 3rd round where they started exchanging. Like Khabib was just like standing in front of him.
Yeah,
and Conor was. I wouldn't say he was just lighting him up, because it was kind of going back and forth. But you can definitely tell, like, if this was, if Conor had anything left in the gas tank, this wouldn't even be a fair fight right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think it was until I rewatched it the other day. I didn't remember it like that. But yeah, I don't know. And then the thing with Khabib's cardio is, I think people talk about Khabib having this insane cardio and this insane grind. He does, but if you can put him if you can make him work a little more, like if he's not just on top pounding away on you, he's gonna get tired.
Right.
Like, I don't think his cardio is like the best in the UFC. I think we see him get on top of people, lock him into place, and then pound away on him. Well, that doesn't tire out Khabib near as much as it tires out the other guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like he doesn't have great cardio. I think he does have great cardio, but it's not like this world class cardio, not like a GSP or a Diaz brother.
Well, and it's a totally different kind of cardio too. Like a striker can strike all day, but then you wrestle with a guy like he has good wrestling cardio, but as soon as you start pumping him with punches to the face, his cardio is going to drain a lot quicker than him just being on top on the ground. You know what I mean? So if Poirier can at least like get him on the defensive a little bit and work on him a little bit, I think the cardio is going to be similar or the same. So I don't know. We'll see.
It'll be fascinating. So now, deeper thought. It's hard against. I mean, it's the same with Floyd Mayweather. It's hard for me to go against a guy that's undefeated. So yeah, I think I'll go with Khabib. But I don't think it'd be like some clear dominance. I feel like he can grind him. I feel like it gets to the later rounds, then he would dominate him, and then it would be that same story of like that 4th and 5th round. Poirier's so damn tired, but because he's a champion and a high level fighter, he'll hang in there. But yeah, I see Khabib doing Khabib things, taking him out, lacing the legs, and forcing him either to give up his back or just take that damage or suck his cardio away, like he did with Conor.
Yeah, I think either Khabib gets him down up against the fence, takes his back and strangles him, or Poirier is able to get up, keep working up to his feet, keep stopping takedowns in the open range. Khabib's open range shots aren't that great. If he can stop shots out there and start to work on Khabib, he can wear Khabib down, and I think he overwhelms him. Round 3 or 4, I'm calling TKO Dustin Poirier.
Nice.
I got $10 on it too, and a 2 for $350. 2 for $350 with Bill on Zions. So I got a lot riding on this fight.
I wonder I wonder how big of an underdog Poirier is.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's kind of home territory for Khabib too.
That's true. There's a lot of yeah, he's got a lot of fans over there.
I know we talk about it like with hip hop posses and stuff, but Khabib has like a hip hop posse.
Oh yeah.
He's literally walking around like 10 deep.
And that's been that way since before he was super famous too. Whenever he came here, he had a whole crew with him. You know, he came to the gym when World Series of Fighting was in town. Him and Renzo Gracie came to use our mats, and there was 2 vans full of people that he brought with him. And yeah, they don't mess around.
No, they don't.
And that was awesome, by the way. Whenever he was here to doing that private with Renzo Gracie, like that was
everyone got to watch, right?
Yeah. So it I don't know. I've told this story a bunch. Hopefully, I haven't told it on.
No, you haven't told it here.
So they called Ali Abdelaziz, who is famous for having a beef with Conor now. Called the gym, and he's like, I have Khabib Nurmagomedov and Renzo Gracie here. I was wanting to see if we could use some mat space. And I was like, yes, of course you can, like, definitely. And then they didn't show up that night, and he called back the next day and said, hey, I know we weren't able to make it last night, but if there's any way we could use the mat tonight, we'd really appreciate it. I was like, definitely, you're more than welcome anytime. Just let me know what time. I'll make sure we have space for you. And so they ended up showing up after class, and it was Khabib, a bunch of his people, Ali, Renzo, and it started out just them doing their private over on the side, and then it was like me and Danilo and Kenyon and Conan. We're all just kind of rolling on the other side of the mat just to be there and be on the same mat as Renzo Gracie and Khabib. And then by the end of it, you know, they were doing their thing, and by the end of it, we were all just sitting around Renzo Gracie watching him tell stories about like fighting people in his living room, and like you know, it was the coolest, like probably the coolest MMA experience I've ever had. Just like we're all just sitting around, and then we got to see like Khabib and Renzo do some like live go situational stuff, and yeah, it was so cool. But like, listen, Renzo was amazing, but Khabib was cool too. But yeah, I got to see Khabib lock like some of his pressure. You could just see how strong he is locking down certain positions, and yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You're still not a Khabib fan, huh?
No. He didn't really talk, which I don't know how good English he spoke at the time. It was right before he fought Michael Johnson. But you know, Renzo was just such a big personality and such a nice guy. That's who I talked to the whole time.
You know, I know we didn't. You know, Zach got mad at me during that fight. Before that fight, I don't, and I say loosely mad. Like he was annoyed with me because I predicted Khabib back then to beat Michael Johnson. I was like, man, we were sitting by the locker room, and we were talking about the UFC fights, and I was like, what a nightmare matchup for Michael Johnson. He's about to get grinded out and beat him. Not knowing that was Zach's roommate in college. Yeah, Zach's like, you better watch what you say. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, that's my friend. That's my best friend. And I didn't know that. And then he went, and then literally, I said that 2 days later. That was Tuesday. I opened my mouth and said that. 2 days later, on that Thursday, Khabib's here.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing about that was I told Zach, like, after I got off the phone with Ali, I was like, Khabib and Renzo are coming here. I was like, he can't come here. He's fighting Michael Johnson. I'm like, well, they're on their way. So they're coming. Which they were super cool. And, like, Zach even told him told Khabib he was friends with Michael. But
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Zach got mad at me because I predicted the Darren Elkins victory over Michael Johnson.
Yeah, well.
So, yeah. No, nothing against Michael Johnson, but there's a big hole, I feel like, in his game that isn't good for him to go against ground guys. So
right. I just wanted Zach to keep that same energy when he saw Khabib. I'm joking, please. Yeah. Oh man. But no, it's awesome, and that's what I love about this sport. You know, the camaraderie. You know, and that's awesome. You know, you can obviously for that caliber of fighter, you can show up anywhere and hopefully train and get some personal time.
Yeah.
That's
like one of the coolest things I think about the UFC and MMA, which has changed a little bit, but there is such a I don't know how to explain it. You have a lot closer interaction with the fighters. Like, it's not like some of the NFL guys, you're never going to meet them, never going to talk to them. Like, it's possible you could run into them on the street.
Right.
They might walk in the gym. You never know. So.
You might get punched in the face by one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it stopped you. All right, so I was talking about, I think it's awesome with the camaraderie that the MMA fighters have with each other, just showing up at other people's gyms and having that work out. And
yeah, the distance between fan and fighter is so much less than the distance between like fan and NFL superstar or MLB superstar or NBA superstar. Like, the chances of you actually getting to meet like LeBron James or something like that is like really, really slim, but like you can meet the UFC champs pretty easily. Like, and like you said, they might just walk in the gym, they might punch you in the face or roll with you know what I mean? So I mean, we've had a bunch of UFC guys come through here and Lee Summit. So
yeah, you can get to meet UFC fighters, champions, and kind of be a fanboy, even if you predict them losing, take photos with them.
Yeah, like Brian Harris.
Yeah.
How dare you, Brian, trying to jump on the Dustin Poirier bandwagon?
I saw it, man.
Can't do that.
I'm telling you. And Brian, I know you're listening. I don't want to hear anything about you knew who was going to win, whoever wins.
Yeah. So he posted that picture, and that was the first thing I thought. I was like, you talked all that trash about how Khabib was just going to wreck Poirier and how you were so confident. How are you going to post a picture with him? How dare you?
Could have waited till at least after the fight and be like, "Oh yeah, I got this." I didn't care to post it that day because
he'll make it his profile picture as soon as Poirier becomes the champ.
If Poirier wins, that is his profile
for sure.
Oh my god,
for sure.
But yeah, so it's good. Other news, real quick, before Cyborg went to Bellator.
I saw that. It sounded like the biggest contract in women's MMA history. So, yeah, good for her getting paid. But I mean, who's she gonna fight over there?
That's the thing about it.
They better sign Gina Carano again too.
I don't want to see that fight. Yeah. Gina's a goddess.
Maybe she's been training like crazy and just comes out and beats Cyborg.
They were Ronda and her were supposed to fight. I don't know if we talked about this last time, but Ronda and Carano was supposed to fight before Ronda ran into Holly Holm. No, it was after. I don't know when.
I feel like the door's always been kind of left open for Gina Carano, I mean, she hasn't fought since Cyborg, but like I feel like there's always been like little talks, like little rumors. Oh, maybe she's coming back, but who knows what that would look like at this point.
She has no need to fight. She has no need to fight. I mean, she's a movie star now. She's done what she did for the sport, which was amazing. And
there's a clear women's MMA Mount Rushmore, and it's Ronda Rousey, Gina Carano, Cyborg, and Amanda Nunes. Like, that's it. Like, they've built the sport. I mean, I guess you could throw Holly Holm in there too.
But Holly Holm's more of she's actually a bigger boxing star back in the day than she was. I mean, she's a star now, but I mean, she was like a phenomenal boxer too. Multiple world championships and everything. But yeah, Amanda Nunes, amazing. Yeah, the greatest female fighter that we've ever seen. Yeah, she's beaten everyone that you can even consider like the best.
Yeah, there's I don't know
with dominance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's crazy how quickly the women's MMA division has taken off. Like, I don't know what's going to be there for Cyborg outside of the UFC and Bellator. I don't know who she's going to fight over there, but like inside the UFC, it went from Ronda just dominating everyone, everything. It's not even really interesting unless you're just looking for a Tyson style fight where Ronda finishes her. And then now Amanda Nunes is dominating everybody, but you have the great fights with Holly Holm, the great fights with Cyborg. You have Rose, Jessica Andrade. I can't pronounce the new champ's name.
Zhang. Wei Ling Zhang. Zong, I believe.
Yeah, but apparently she's a huge superstar in China now.
I mean, she's the first Chinese champion. I think that does well in that market. I feel like that's what the UFC wanted. Sometimes I feel like the UFC sets it up for the passing of the torch. I know Andrade only beat Rose, but it's kind of like And I think it was Bisping or someone to say that, Andrade was kind of paying it forward because don't forget Rose went to Brazil to fight Andrade, and then that, she lost, and now, Andrade went to China, and unfortunately she lost her belt, but Wei Ling, she's 19-1, and she was on a 19 win streak.
Yeah,
and that's phenomenal in MMA.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind how like I feel like you went from being fighters or fans of women fighters. Like me, I used to just be a fan of Ronda and Rose, and now it's like I'm a fan of women's MMA.
Right?
They're killing it. It's just as interesting to me now as men's.
I feel like sometimes they put on the best fights of the card.
Yeah,
that's from amateur to professional.
Yeah. Well, there used to be. I feel like there used to be a drastic. I don't know if this is not correct to say, but like there was a big skill difference. I feel like between the highest level of men's fighters and women's fighters, and now you're seeing insane strikers, insane grapplers in the women's side of things too. And it's been awesome. I
think in a couple of years when we talk, I think we're gonna add Shevchenko to the.
Oh yeah, definitely
to that Rushmore because she's a beast too, and I would love to see her fight Nunes a third time.
Yeah, well, I mean, who else is there? You know what I mean? So yeah, I'd love to see that.
But yeah, with Cyborg, I mean, I feel like Cyborg just kind of finishes her career. So I think she goes over there, she sleeps a bunch of women that are 5-1, that are just starting out their professional careers, and they feed her a bunch of victories, and we'll probably talk in a couple of years about, man, what if she would have took that other Nunes fight, and because she's gonna look like such a world beater, knocking out these girls that are getting their career started, and you go from there. I mean, that's how I feel. I mean, I would have loved to see her stay with the UFC, but obviously all the extra bullshit drama, personal drama was unnecessary. So.
Yeah, and that's always been there too. Her whole career with. I feel like it took forever to get her in the UFC, and then it all just kind of lingered while she was there. So.
I mean, I don't like when the women fighters kind of get like disrespected in the sense of like, oh, they're a man and all that, and obviously Cyborg tested in the whole debacle with Dana and Joe Rogan and all them talking about her, but I would have liked to believe they all moved on from it, but clearly she hasn't, and the manager, her boyfriend isn't helping anything.
Whoever edited the video or whatever.
Yeah,
good for her though, going and getting paid.
Yeah, that's all you want to see, especially it sucks in this day and age. We still have to be like, well, as long as they're getting paid, they're fine, But I like to see everyone in the UFC. Though I'm slowly falling in love with one championship.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of it, but it's like it seems to be taking off.
Yeah.
Man, I watched the Demetrius Johnson's last fight and won, and I was like expecting Demetrius just to run through the guy. It was a good fight.
Yes.
Like I think they got a lot to offer, and apparently it's huge overseas. It's just hasn't taken off here yet. But
yeah, they're dominating overseas.
Yeah, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, I watched a fighter, a women's MMA fighter. I guess she's a big Muay Thai fighter too. Stamp Fairtex.
So is she from
the Philippines?
I mean, is she part of the Fairtex lineage then?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But she's 19 years old and just has star written all over overseas. Like she comes out, she dances, she can fight her ass off,
Conan told me that somebody got a twister in ONE FC, which I haven't seen
really?
yet. He said one of the girls got a twister. I was like, how have I not seen that? But yeah.
But yeah, cool. I like watching the other organizations, but I mean, obviously UFC will always be, the prime.
The hard part now is I feel like there's so many, and there's like even just the UFC is hard to. I used to watch every single card. I could tell you every single fighter on the roster. I could tell you who they fought last, when their last fight was. I could tell you all that. Now there's so many fights, so many fighters. Like it's hard to keep track of. And then you start adding other organizations. It's just there's so much, But hey, you gotta. I feel like I have to go back to kind of being fans of the fighter as opposed to the organization. But yeah.
That's what Instagram's for. I follow all my favorite fighters on Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, good, man. Well, I appreciate you doing this, brother.
Yeah, hopefully I didn't like lose you any subscribers with
No,
Ryan
not
being
at
gone.
all.
So
You know,
I could wear the glasses if you wanted me to. Maybe people will stick around, but no, I'm happy to be on.
Nah, but I appreciate you coming on, filling in for Mr. Harris, and I appreciate you. Hopefully, a wonderful, healthy pregnancy for you and Amber. Good luck.
Thank you.
Those cravings, I don't know what she'll have. Please tell us.
She's just been sick lately. It hasn't really been too many cravings. Just stuff she can't eat so far. So yeah, I don't know.
And then we'll have to get you on at least right before the delivery, and then we'll have to get you on when you readjust your life.
We'll just go live from the delivery room.
Woo! As long as she appreciates it, as long as she can sign some papers, and we'll try to blur out what we can.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, well, thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Waters.
my pleasure.
And as I sign off, as always, for Brian, love, peace, and chicken grease, and
Kisses, hugs, belly rubs.
hey, there we go. Bye.